What has been the most extravagant gift you've ever received? I could think of two in my life. One was a beautiful pearl necklace, and the other was a birthday party at the zoo, the Palm Beach County Zoo. My husband arranged it with a little whispering in his ear, and we and about 10 other friends went. There was a birthday cake with animals on it, and hot dogs and popcorn. We got to be in a private area where we could pass along a snake and also pet some goats and a couple of sheep. And it was just a wonderful day, a blue sky, that nest egg blue that Florida can get, and in a beautiful clear day in January, and it was wonderful. For some, if I say perhaps asked Lindsay, she'd say it's her two adopted girls that she adores. For Janine, it'd be her writing, the gift. For Jane and Bonnie, it would be at 93 and 88 that they went through chemo and radiation and are clear of stage 4 cancer. If it were Jamie, life. He was in an automobile accident heading west, picking up co-workers to go to work under the influence, and ended up head-on in a crash. In the hospital at St. Mary's, continued to be in tragic circumstances with a brain that was basically liquid. Attended night and day by his mother, his wife, and his girlfriend. All there, praying for him, hoping, day after day. And you know what? That brain reformed. He was able to walk out of there, go to rehab, go back to work, a new lease on life. If you ask Lazarus what was the most extravagant gift, hearing Jesus' name, Jesus calling out, "Come out, Lazarus, come out." The gift of being back from the dead. Our most extravagant gifts. And where we are in our reading today is a party. It is a dinner that's in honor of Jesus. It's in honor of Jesus because of the reading right before, which is the raising of Lazarus. He's in Bethany, right outside, 2 miles outside of Jerusalem. And he will go back in and then shortly head down from the Mount of Olives for the entry into Jerusalem. In that time before, we're familiar with the story of Mary and Martha, his sisters. All three are beloved. Martha and Mary have cropped up in the Gospel of Luke. We know them. We know that Martha is very concerned about serving, and we know that Mary sat at Jesus' feet learning. And in learning, he said, after Martha had complained, "Make her help me," he said, "She has the better, leave her alone." And it was also, as Lazarus had died after Martha and Mary had summoned him to come into Bethany to make well their brother, and he lingered, and then he came, and Lazarus was in the tomb at that time. It is Martha who comes out and says, "If you had been here, Lord, he would have lived." And it's Mary who came out, bowing at his feet, "Lord, if you'd been here, he would have lived." So at this party, we're sort of eavesdropping, and like other parties, if we're trying to get familiar with the characters, they're descriptors. It is Lazarus, who's been raised from the dead. There is Judas, the one who is to betray him, plus he's also a thief. He gets into the common purse. And then there is Martha, who is what? Serving, of course. And then there's Mary. You sort of anticipate something a little off to happen when you're around Mary, because that's what she's sort of set. She's full of heart, feels things, reacts, and she sees Jesus, and she sees this time together. And instead of just staying there and watching, as others are, because could you not be Could you not be at a dinner party with Lazarus, who's been brought back from the dead, and say, Lazarus, I've just got to ask you, what did you see? When you died, did you see the light? Did you see angels? Did you hear voices? What went on for those 4 days? Did you wait in hope that Jesus would come and still be able to do something? Lazarus, share with us what you saw. But we don't hear the question asked. We don't hear Lazarus' answers. But what we do see is Mary. Mary goes and gets the nard, which is spikenard. It is a beautiful plant that can only be harvested in Nepal or India or the Himalayas. And if you wanted 16 ounces of it now, if you wanted to buy it online, it would be about $1,000. Or if you wanted organic, about $4,000. Still very expensive. It is an aroma-giving substance that's been known for thousands of years, used at burials and other places to give the scent of beauty. And indeed, the aroma filled the room. She goes, brings it in, pours it on his feet, uses her hair to dry it off, as Jesus reclines, probably Greek style, at a table with Lazarus there and Mary at his feet. I don't know about you, but I feel somehow intruding at this point, that there's something so intimate about this gesture. There's something so extravagant about it, even if it's Mary, that I feel some reluctance. Like, Mary, are you just maybe a little bit over the top? Is this maybe extravagant? Extravagant comes from a word, Latin word, that means basically outside the wall, outside the limits, outside the boundaries. And it wasn't really used in terms of money until the last 300 years, but it was just about behavior that seemed inordinate. Mary, the devotion, the love that you have always shown Jesus appears here. But here we have now two approaches to Jesus. We have Mary's approach and Jesus's, the one about love and about life, that I have come to bring life abundant, not just meeting needs, but in excess of needs. It's what Judas will refer to later on in our passage, but it's in Deuteronomy 15:1, because of this gracious God that has brought the people of Israel out of Egypt back into a land of plenty. He prescribes, he tells them, he warns them, don't be short in opening your hand to your neighbors, to those in need. In other words, the abundance that I'm giving you in this land should be enough for you to feed the poor so that there would not be any. That kind of abundance. And then there's the other side, that it is Judas and his value. That it isn't about honoring Jesus. It's not about the dinner. It's not about her devotion. It's not her thanksgiving for the life of her brother that was taken, but now sitting at table with Jesus. No, it's about how much did it cost? How extravagant is it? Could it not be used for a better purpose? Jesus, shouldn't this be sold and given to the poor? Part of me sits with Judas. It was extravagant. Is there not a better use? Isn't it maybe too much? Couldn't we consider a little bit more rationally what to do with this, as opposed to just pouring it out? And in Jesus, the response, two things. First, he says, let her be, permit her to do this, for she's looking forward in future to my own funeral, to my own burial. And then he says about this selling it and giving it to the poor. Basically, the idea is you have the poor always with you. Why? Out of our abundance, we don't provide for them. You always have the poor with you. Me, Jesus, you don't. I am here. I am present. I am here now. I am with you. The two different approaches to life, that there's abundance in what we have, and shouldn't we just maybe measure it out a little bit more stringently? These two meeting head to head. We think of other dinners. There's this one, and there will be in the Gospel of John another, where Jesus, through basically chapters 13 through 17, reminds the disciples of God's love being with them always, the gift of the Spirit that will come, that being abiding together, of loving, that he's revealed everything his Father has revealed to him, to them, that he is with them always in this abundant life. That dinner, that continues with one saying, basically, I'm handing this morsel that I dip in the dish, this is Jesus, to the one who will betray me, to Judas. One dinner and another, one tomb to another, to understanding somehow through this time that's to come in the next couple of weeks, the suffering that Jesus undertook, the debasement, the suffering, the humiliation. Yet, in all of that, it's the extravagance of love, of wanting us to know the gift of love from the Father to the Son and to the Son to us. And it calls us to be so open-hearted like Mary, to not only be able to be at his feet, but also to understand on some level this wonderful extravagance, this abundance of what he's pouring out for us. What do we value the most? It's an opportunity to open our hearts and not cringe at suffering. It's to open our lives and say, I can accept on better terms this life abundant. Oh, come, Lord Jesus, pull me out of that tomb like you pulled out Lazarus, that I can hear your voice that says, come, undo the bindings and live.